Let's get right to it here. I got a big feedback coming back in this phone. There's something wrong with the digital phone line tonight, but we'll try and get through in any case. Are you there, Gerald?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you good. Thanks.
Okay,
all right. What we're doing here is watching the SS America slipping inexorably below the waves. What we have is, I don't know what label you want to put on this outrage, this horror, this nightmare, this perversion, this rape of the American Republic, Bolshevism, fascism, communism, socialism. It doesn't matter. What we're looking at is a dictator who is now exercising full dictatorial powers over all of us in this country. His name is Barack Hussein Obama, allegedly, and he is about to, apparently, according to his Zionist vice president, issue one or more executive orders by next Tuesday, damaging, stripping, or otherwise mortally wounding the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution. If you folks and the American public do not stand up and stop this, you might as well snap on the leg irons, because it'll be over. Gerald?
Well, it's just more of the same. Last year ago, you remember New Year's Eve, he signed into order the National Defense Authorization Act that strips us of basic habeas corpus rights. It's been one raping of the Constitution after another. So it's just going to continue in this direction, right, until is this sounding all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I hear you.
Okay, I'm getting a little feedback. The what we're forecasting, by the way, the new TrendsJournal is coming out by the end of next week, and one of the trends is the Great Awakening.
Right.
And what happened prior to the first American Revolution, the Revolution, was that there was an awakening, a spiritual revival, so to speak, where people realized that their salvation was dependent upon their own actions, and they didn't have to bow to the authorities of the Church of England.
Right.
And from that sprang also the works of such as Thomas Paine and others, where they also realized that royal blood wasn't royal at all, and that they weren't better, and they weren't ordained by God to rule above them. And it was really the foundation of the American Revolution. Jeff, I believe the exact same thing is happening now.
Uh-huh.
It's how you began the program. It's how what you said about Obama with his executive orders, they're no different than the edicts of King.
Same thing.
And we, the subjects, we must obey them. Nothing has changed. Only the titles have changed. The kings and queens are now prime ministers, chancellors, and el presidentes. The noblemen are our congressmen and parliamentarians and congressmen. They're treated with the same kind of royalty. Look what happens when these people show up for someplace. El Presidente, they wave from their jumbo jets below to the serfs below them. When their motorcades speed through towns, it's no different than those old movies where the king's chariot comes ripping through, running over everybody in the way.
Exactly.
And when you look at when they show up anywhere, they have this honor guard. A bunch of flunkies dressed up in uniforms. Hundreds of them, costing hundreds of thousands and tens of millions of dollars a year. For what?
Spent $1 billion
last year entertaining. That's the
one story I ran recently. It's close to that.
So what we're at is the beginning, I believe, of a great awakening.
Mm-hmm.
And the people are waking up to the fact, and it goes back to what you're saying.
Right.
You said if people don't stand up, they're going to be mowed down. I firmly believe that the government, as with all governments around the world right now, as they're watching their economies decline,
uh-huh.
are putting these laws in place so that when things get out of control, the people will be easily put into control.
Oh, I concur.
100%.
Mowed down. Now, we've got 1.2 billion rounds of hollow point ammunition, mostly hollow point ammunition with DHS. I don't know what other agencies have purchased. It's a lot. These people are not buying all these rounds of ammo for target practice. And if they were, what are they going to shoot at? Cutouts of American citizens. This is wrong. And if they aren't telegraphing right now what they're going to do to us, I don't know when they will. It's obvious. This thing is so damned obvious. To you, it must be sickeningly obvious.
Well, it is. And I'm very concerned about what's happening. I can see the way the propaganda machines are pushing for more and more control over our lives using this gun issue. And again, as I keep saying, the points that I keep repeating. Okay, I just heard Biden. It's like it's coming from a comic book, but coming from him, well, that's apropos. They're going to bring in all unregistered guns.
Right.
Where are they going to get them from? The unregistered gun dump? I mean, the people that have the guns that you don't want to have are the violent criminals.
Of course.
You're not going to turn them in.
Never.
And there are 300 million guns out there.
Yeah.
And what are they going to do? It will be as ineffective as prohibition. And it will cause the same kind of violence and a whole nother layer of government agencies whose money they take from us to commit more crimes under the guise of protecting us, as they did during Prohibition.
Exactly. And what happened during Prohibition? How much money was made? How many criminal gangster fortunes were created? And
how many Kennedys were born?
There you go. And what's going to happen this time around? Same thing. There'll be an instant mega-billion-dollar black market, and everybody will have a gun who really wants one, especially the criminals. Except these guns won't be registered like they have now. They have generally succeeded in registration drives. Most guns are registered now. Not all, but most. With the black market, folks, none will be registered. And then all hell will break. It's going to happen. Hold on just a second. We'll come right back. Okay, let's get right back to Gerald, who is with us once a month, and always honored to spend time with this man who sees things so damn clearly. You can't help but benefit every time you listen to him. The idea that these people are making the big push now on the heels of what may well be a ritualized sacrifice of little children is something I can't completely dismiss. No normal human being, Gerald, I don't care who it is, we're not wired to blow little children to pieces at the age of 20. Maybe I should say, unless you're in the U.S. military and you're in a foreign country and you're hopped up on all kinds of drugs and medications, maybe then that does happen. But generally speaking, an American boy of 20 doesn't go into an elementary school and kill a bunch of 5-year-old kids. With allegedly a .223 rifle, which of course would literally blow these children to pieces. There's something wrong with this story. I don't want to get into the minutiae of it, but there's something not right about it in a very big way. To say that the Obama regime, the dictator, is politicizing it and taking advantage of it and using that to try to take American Second Amendment away is rather obvious. That's the game. But it's beyond that. There's something else at work here, and I think it has to do with the ultimate evil that is at the top of the hierarchy. It's that eye above the pyramid and then some. There's something wrong on this planet, Gerald. Very, very wrong. If you go back through history, folks, think about it. 2,000 years and then some. Massive slaughters of people. They call them wars, whatever you want. There's something about this species that is either being directed or is inherently flawed to the extent that it enjoys and gloats and feeds and ultimately sates itself, however temporarily, on the deaths of untold hundreds of millions of people. Something's wrong.
Well, it's the culture of cruelty. And as you mentioned, it's been going on for a long time, but not for always. And there have been cultures that have advanced in ways that created, higher civilizations. They just don't talk about it or write about it.
Correct.
Our knowledge of history is so limited. I mean, they can't even get why they invaded Iraq straight, or why we're in Afghanistan. So when you go back and see the distortions of civilizations past, we don't have a clue. So, matter of fact, this next TrendsJournal, I have to say, is one of the most important. I mentioned one of the stories, The Great Awakening. Mm-hmm. Another one is war, but the other one is peace. And I've come up with Gerald Celente's 4 Rules of Peace. And they're going to be out next week, and I'm very serious about this.
Very good.
And what I am saying is that if you're either for peace or against it, if you think my peace plan is not viable, please come up with one better than it. If you do believe it's viable, then I'm asking everyone to support it. We're going to make a big announcement about this. You'll be getting it as soon as it goes out. It'll be out by the middle of next week. And it has to change because, as I mentioned, one of our top trends for 2013 is war. And as I mentioned, the cruelty of the culture of cruelty. The fish rots at the head down. And you were mentioning how deranged it is for a 20-year-old kid to kill innocent little children in a schoolroom. How deranged is it for a 20-year-old kid sitting in Langley Air Force Base or somewhere else, sending a Predator drone and blowing apart people that they don't know?
Right.
And they haven't done anything to them. And they're suspected by who? Believed to be by whom? Aren't there any laws anymore, or only the laws of the jungle? So why shouldn't people react violently when violence is cheered and gloated, as we saw President Obama throughout this last campaign, every chance he had to brag about how Obama, was the great Osama bin Laden slayer? How could anybody not see the culture of violence when it's in front of us every day when we turn on the television and watch these moronic things called TV shows? And look what Hollywood has become. One big violent, big screen episode after another. Look what went on. Look what goes on with video games. Mm-hmm. Do video games cause violence? No. But when somebody's over the edge and they're addicted to them, and something else is just going to help them be a little crazier, that helps a lot.
So does a reset button.
Exactly. So if you see, to me, beauty is the antidote to fear. You are what you eat. If you eat crap and you drink junk, right, what is your body going to look like?
You are what you think, too. You are what you see. You are what you pursue in life, intellectually, mentally, or any other way. You are what you are. And
that's what we've become.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the issue that you well know that no one wants to speak about, and all the data is there for everyone to look at. When did this trend of mass murders begin? You look back at the data, with a few exceptions, when they started feeding psychotropic drugs to society.
Sure.
Virtually every one of these kids is ripped out on something. And they refuse, in this last case in Connecticut, to release the medical records of this kid who they say had Asperger's syndrome. And
where's the proof? No proof of any of this crap.
Right, and if so, was he on any drugs? As many of the other ones have proven to have been on.
Yeah.
And now the third part of the argument, the first part, of course, is there's 300 million of these things out here. The people that are the most violent are going to get them. You're not going to take them away from them. That leaves us not having anything to protect ourselves. The second point, the one I just mentioned. And the third point is the drugs. And the third point is...
Fourth point.
Fourth, what is the validity of the gun legislation that they're passing? Right. What's the cost-benefit analysis? Show us the proof.
Amen. Right on the money. Hold on just a second. The new TrendsJournal will be out next week, and I would like all of you to get a copy of it. This is, again, a guidebook on how to take steps through this horrible experience we call life in the formerly United States of America. And that's not to say there aren't wonderful people. And as Gerald said, the antidote to many of the ugly, horrible, violent things is beauty. So that's something that unfortunately many people have lost sight of, Gerald, as you know. They don't recognize beauty anymore. They don't revere or respect it. We've got to somehow reinvigorate that aspect of the fading human intellect. Be right back in just a couple of minutes. Okay, welcome back. Jeff and Gerald, and all of you good folks. Glad you're along tonight. You know, the idea of beauty, if you folks have seen online Gerald's wonderful digs, you call it digs, where he works, where he spends time, you see beauty. Indoor beauty and outdoor beauty, paintings, it's all there. And for many Americans, Gerald, I'm honestly concerned that they no longer have that paradigm, at least measurably, in their lives, the paradigm of beauty, whatever it is. Maybe to them it's a 6'8" African-American putting a round orange ball through a metal hoop. Maybe it's two big fat white guys in World Wrestling Federation slamming each other to the canvas. I don't know what it is. They call this entertainment now. They call it sports. But it's not beauty. Beauty is something that I think is truly endemic to the human soul, but it has somehow been run off the reservation. I don't see young people really thinking of things in terms of beauty anymore, and not many adults. Is it beautiful to be dressed up in a provocative way? Is that tattoo beautiful? Is your car beautiful? You know, is your home beautiful? I don't know. You can talk about this all day long. If I get stressed out, one of the things I do, I put on some music I like. Mario Lanza, a great symphony, whatever. And it takes my mind to a special place that I think only humans really have the capability of developing and respecting and revering. I hope some of the lower forms, so-called, of life can do it. I don't know that. But we do, and I don't see much beauty in our culture anymore.
Well, it has been lost in so many ways. Look at the new data that just came out yesterday on our life expectancy. We're number one. No, we're not. We're 17. How about infant mortality rate? Oh, wait, we're way, you know, around the world, you know, we rank way down there.
Yeah, true.
And then when you look at the whys, and you see, you know, it's again goes, you are what you eat, and you are what you think, and you are what you become. So, again, having said all that, we're seeing in our trends research that there's a shift taking place. Will it be strong enough? Will it be viable enough? What's the option? The alternative is to continue going in the same direction we're going in, or to raise the bar. And I have to tell you, Jeff, this is my 33rd year in doing trend forecasting, and always looking for solutions to the problems, trying to come up with, how could this change with that change? And at this point in my life, I mean, it's about the individual. It doesn't go any further than that. And it goes back to the awakening.
Mm-hmm.
The people awoke to the fact that they were responsible, are responsible, always will be responsible for their salvation if they believe in a salvation. It's only about what you do on earth in keeping with the simple precepts of, how about starting with this one? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that each one of us have a unique gift, that secret weapon that no one else has. Anybody that's really good at what they're doing and wants to keep getting better at it knows it's continual work. You never let down. Do you think I want to spend my Saturdays and Sundays, whatever spare time I have, reading and catching up, reading the Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, all of the stuff that I haven't done, but I know I have to do it
right.
if I'm going to be at the top of my trade.
Same here.
When you know that you're at the top of your game and you're doing more to improve yourself, you raise the bar for everything. And so when enough of the individuals change, when the bar is raised, then to me society moves in a different direction. Whether it's playing the piano, cooking a meal, cleaning a house, whatever it might be, it's to be the best at what you're doing and value what you're doing and keep getting better at it.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really perfect. Whatever it is you do it to the best of your ability. And the word responsible and responsibility and accountability, those three words, are key to the success of any culture. And we've lost a lot of it here now. Young people no longer accept accountability or responsibility. If you confront a young person, the average young person, with something that they've done wrong or done less than satisfactory, there's always an excuse comes out of their mouth, and it's usually led by a pronoun. Well, he or she or they or them, or they're victims. So you got no accountability, no responsibility in many of them, and it's underpinned by victimhood. And that's a real formula for the end of a functional, viable, independent culture.
Again, the fish rots from the head down.
Yeah.
Do you see any politician taking responsibility for starting these atrocious wars, these murderous wars? Do you see any regret of having done this? It's again, when we're talking about a culture of cruelty. Look, I'm a guy who was born in the Bronx. Then we social climbed to Yonkers, And if I was in that head, where I'm very familiar with having been there, and I was, Joey, I'd be saying, and I'm talking to you, and I said, let's pull off a gig over here. Let's do a ripoff.
Yeah.
And you'd say to me, no, that's not honest. And I'd say to you, hey, what are you, stupid? Look what they're doing. Look what these banks. Look how they're robbing everybody. Look how these crooks are stealing everything.
Yeah.
And if I was a real smart crook, I'd say, look how they're rigging the LIBOR rates, the interest rates that each one of us has to pay on our credit cards, on our automobiles, on our homes. They rigged the game, and you're going to play it straight. What's wrong with you? You sucker. That is the mentality, and that's what I'm trying to say, Jeff. The fish rots from the head down.
Amen, brother. Amen. I don't know how to get into the mind of a younger American, 10, 15, 16 years of age, when they've taken the wrong turn and the stench becomes obviously noticeable. They're going nowhere in a hurry, and their intellect is withering on the vine, soon to be dead. Their little arteries are clogged by the time they're 15, 16, 20, 30% closed already. Their bodies are contaminated and poisoned with FD&C dyes, red dye number 40 being perhaps the worst of all. the thousands of chemicals that we come into contact with, tens of thousands, every day of our lives. Some are ingested, some are inhaled, some are transdermally injected into the body. The body becomes a walking toxic bag of incipient death. And I don't know how to correct that. I'm doing what you do, and that is to do what I do to the best of my ability. And many of you listening do the same thing. We have to, there's an old expression, lead by example. But it works on a different level than that. If we simply do the best we can, and what we do turns out to be extraordinary, people will look at that and they will notice it, even if it's not at the conscious level. They'll notice it. And that has to be used to nudge along this flock of decaying sheep. It's not pretty. And there are some marvelous exceptions to what I'm saying out there. Some great Americans, young people, middle-aged, older, doesn't matter. But when the older generation goes and leaves us, who's going to lead the younger? Because they won't even understand the language of living, the language of life that has been lost with the older generations. Be right back. Okay, let's get right back to it. This is interesting. Bill Cosby's 83 now. He wrote a little essay here, and he said some things that resonate with what we've been talking about tonight. Bill said, I'm tired of being told that I have to spread the wealth to people who don't have my work ethic. I'm tired of being told the government will take the money I earned by force if necessary and give it to people too lazy to earn it. I'm tired of being told I must lower my living standard to fight global warming, which no one is allowed to debate. I'm tired of being told that drug addicts have a disease and I must help support and treat them and pay for the damage they do. Did a giant germ rush out of a dark alley, grab them and stuff white powder up their noses or stick a needle in their arm while they tried to fight it off? I'm tired of hearing wealthy athletes, entertainers, and politicians of all parties talking about innocent mistakes, stupid mistakes, or youthful mistakes, when we all know they think their only mistake was getting caught. I'm tired of people with a sense of entitlement, rich or poor. I'm really tired of people who don't take responsibility for their lives and actions. I'm tired of hearing them blame the government or discrimination or big whatever for their problems. I'm also tired and fed up with seeing young men and women in their teens and early 20s bedeck themselves in tattoos and face studs, thereby making themselves unemployable and claiming money from the government. Yes, I'm damn tired. But I'm also glad to be 83, because mostly I'm not going to have to see the world these people are making. Just a little excerpt there.
Well, you know, I also see another side. I really do.
There's always another side.
Yeah,
yes,
I mean, I agree with everything that he's saying.
Yeah.
But again, you know, to me, there's been other periods of history. I mean, what could be more apt to see a dark time than the Black Plague that ostensibly killed, some 60% of all of Europe?
Something like that.
And the people that survived were the people that went off to the monasteries, the convents, the mountains, that led clean lives and got away from the filth. Yep. And what came from it? A renaissance.
Beauty. See, the Renaissance, Gerald, is, if there's one word to me that reflects the word Renaissance, it's beauty.
Exactly. And as a matter of fact, in Italy, at the height of the Renaissance, they would say alle romana e alla antica in the manner of the Romans and the ancients to describe the quality of their work, the beauty of what they were creating. And now this country can have a renaissance. I believe in the bones. Look, I'm not, blind or ignorant to the slaughter that happened that made this country begin, I'm up here in colonial Kingston, New York, where they slaughtered the Indians. The Dutch were the first ones up
60
here.
million of them.
Yeah, so I'm not, I know that. But there were other things as well. And you mentioned about, we're talking about this maniac kid that killed these children in Connecticut. The same week, some madman went in with a machete in China and ripped apart 22 children.
Yeah, he stabbed him, yeah.
So what I'm saying is madness is everywhere. Hey, check this one out. They just beheaded a woman in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. She was a Sri Lankan or something, and allegedly
17 years old.
A child died in her care, and
Yeah. I mean, and so but they're an American ally. Don't say anything bad about
I
Doug
can't
King.
do that, can we?
Okay, kings are good. Dictators, they're bad guys. The kings, they're all right. Those emirs too. Emirs are swell. We're talking about, just to get off the subject into another one real quickly, because it just hit my head. And when you talk about his hypocrisy, disgusting, revolting, pathetic, the worst of what America looks at to become the worst is Al Gore. There's a guy, boy, I knew this guy, John J. Hooker, from Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
He began Minnie Pearl's Chicken, the Hooker family. Matter of fact, goes way back actually to John Hooker, who brought the Campfire Girls around, and they got the name Hooker. And matter of fact, Hooker introduced me to John Connolly many years ago. Anyway, I asked Hooker, and they were a big family and a well-known family in Nashville, and I said, and this is like 1992. And I said, what's Al Gore like? And this, Hooker said, he's like his daddy, an arrogant boy. And I'll never forget that. That's what he's, an arrogant boy, a kid born on third base, thought he hit a triple. Anyway, here's Al Gore that only gets current TV on all of the channels because of arm twisting, and who his partners are, like Dianne Feinstein's husband and others.
Mm-hmm.
And this useless channel, of which at the height of during the day we get about 42,000 views.
It's sold to,
Al Jazeera.
Yeah.
Now, who's Al Jazeera? Well, Al Jazeera, that's owned by the Qatar government. Who are they? Well, they're the people, the head of the Arab Little League over there that instigated the wars in Libya, are now funneling the arms into the same Islamic groups into
Syria.
Also now sending more money into Egypt with the Muslim Brotherhood.
They're sending money and death around all over the place.
And now they own a piece of the American airwaves. Al Gore, the guy that sold out America on TV in a debate with Ross Perot with NAFTA. They needed a front like Al Gore and Clinton to pretend that they were progressive Democrats when Reagan and Bush 1 couldn't push NAFTA through. He sold out American jobs, and now Al Gore has sold out the American airwaves to a dictatorship, a murderous dictatorship. And go to my website, either the TrendsJournal channel on YouTube or our web media blog on TrendsJournal.com or the Gerald Celente channel, and you will see hear an interview. It's posted there with me and the bureau chief from Al Jazeera prior to the Libyan war. And I encourage everyone to listen to it. This stooge was pushing the war, and I pushed this very proper talking guy over the edge when I called him out.
Good.
And this is on China Today. When I call this guy out, you can go and hear it. These are the people that are responsible for so much of the unrest in around the Middle East. And now Al Gore, who sold out our jobs overseas, has now sold out the airwaves to what I consider an enemy of humanity.
Amen. Exactly right. Glenn Beck, whether you like him or not, wanted to buy current TV. Gore wouldn't even talk to him. Speaking of Al Gore, no less than 3 female massage professionals have claimed that he came onto them, as they say. And that's the three that we know about. He's vile. He's a pig.
This is the kind of guy you knew in high school that wore, they wore the penny loafers,
I know the type.
The tassels.
That's right.
The khaki pants and the big behind.
Overweight,
and the blue blazer.
Fat.
Yeah. Oh, there's a true story. John Anthony West, who's my co-writer, who's famous for the Mystery of the Sphinx.
Yeah.
A good friend of his, I can't mention the guy's name, went to I think it was Harvard or Yale with Gore, and John said to him, he said, "What kind of guy was Al?"
Mm-hmm.
He said Gore was the kind of guy, when the bell rang and everybody's picking up their books and running out of the room, Gore would say to the professor, "Sir, did you forget to give us a homework assignment?"
Oh, yeah.
That's how he described Al.
That's funny.
Gore.
That's very funny.
And this guy knew him.
Well, we all know how they call them blue bloods, whatever. It's all money and power, the powered elite. Gore and Tipper had a daughter, and the daughter married the grandson of, without question, one of the most wealthy, powerful mogul killers, financially backing wars and everything else, Jacob Schiff. The grandson of Jacob Schiff married her daughter. So it's all in the family. They keep running the thing round and around. Same old, same old. But again,
read Thomas Paine, and it's the same thing. It's this new nobility.
Yeah.
And it was replaced before, and it can be replaced again. We can have something different that brings us to a higher level of civilization.
Time to do it. I look forward to the TrendsJournal. When will it be out again, formally?
By the end of next week.
Okay.
We're in the final stages right now. Right. By the way, it's going to be over 50 pages, advertising free. 50 pages of serious work. That's
big time. The best way to get a copy, Gerald, tell them how.
TrendsJournal.com, TrendsJournal.com. And Jeff, we have a discount request page there. We know people are having a difficult time. So we try to do our very best to make it available to everyone at a price that they can afford, but it's not that expensive to begin with.
Oh, no, that's unprecedented. That's very human, and I would expect you to do something like that. That's great. All right, next week's issue coming out. All right, we got just a minute and a half left. I don't know where we're going to end up with this whole gun thing, Gerald. How intimidated are the sheep by executive orders? How many of them will line up to turn in their weapons if that's what it comes down to? And we've seen Feinstein lie, Feinstein. These people are, you call people in the press prostitutes. We got to come up with a name for the so-called politicians that comes close to that. But they're liars. They're scam artists. They're worse. They're criminals and gangsters. Will Americans turn in their guns? That's the question.
I don't believe so. No. I don't think they're going to ask it, because it'll be a battle royal. And by the way, this is all a diversionary tactic, because the economy is collapsing.
Oh, you bet.
See it with the job numbers, and this gets the people's mind off the real things.
It's called misdirection. That's an old trick. Thank you, my friend. Talk to you next month, Gerald.
Hey, thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. Gerald Celente, and that's Hour 1, and we'll be back.